get this kind of visual impact in a movie?
Well, I've always been a very kind of visual-led director and writer, so when I'm imagining a screenplay, the first thing that comes into my mind are kind of images. And I go from there, which is why I think my films always have a very kind of strong visual edge to them.
What is the most critical step in the process?
Well, it's all important. I used to think, when I was a younger filmmaker, I used to think the shooting, the filming was the most important thing, and then once that was done, post-production was just kind of putting the pieces together, it was unimportant. But increasingly you realize post-production is like, that's where you make the movie. And then pre-production is where you kind of get ready and you plan everything to allow your shoot to go well. So really, it's a continuum. I mean, no one piece is more important than the other. And they're all fun in different ways. The shooting is just amazing because you get to work with all the actors, and there's the thrill of working really hard and having a whole crew behind you. And then post-production is fun because you get to go home at night.
Playback, please, PT.
How many special effects companies are getting involved in a production like this?
Just one.
Just one?
I don't believe in kind of, there are different ways filmmakers work. Some movies kind of have a visual effects supervisor and then they split up the work and they have 5 or 6 different companies working. I always like to work with one company, and I'm very hands-on. I go into that company, I work with all the animators, because really, you shoot with a crew of 200 people, 250 people. Then in post-production, you have another crew. It's 250 people sitting at computer workstations, and you need to go in and motivate that crew just like you motivate the shooting crew. And I find that if you go with one place, you can provide leadership and you can provide a direction, whereas if you split the visual effects up into like 5 or 6 different places, it becomes a lot harder. Wow. So, and I'll go to wherever in the world, the company is. So for example, on this movie, the visual effects are all being done by a company called Mr. X in Toronto. So I live in Los Angeles, but I don't do it by remote control. It's not kind of telephone and Skype. I go to Toronto, I stay there for weeks at a time. I really kind of work with the team.
Action!
I think that in this kind of movies, you have 2 scripts. One for the story and another script to show the special effects. What do you think?
In a way, you're correct. It's not really a script, though. I mean, at this point, when we go into shooting a movie like this, we have a series of what's called animatics, which is kind of like, it's kind of low-res animation. So basically, you have a kind of Saturday morning cartoon-style version of your movie, where Mila is a little animated figure, and she runs around and she drives cars and she jumps and she leaps, and it's very interesting because you can kind of see what your movie in terms of action is going to look like, and that's very important because it really allows you to plan the stunts a lot better. You know how much of the set you really need to build, and it's one of the reasons why pre-production is so important.
For that Caesar thing, but right now I'm sort of crawling towards it and struggling to get up.
There are great pieces, and that's all we want from these wide masters. We're close enough to see it's you. We just need little bits and pieces.
What was your most important goal for this film?
I wanted to grow the franchise. I felt like the last movie was very successful. It was the most successful in the series so far, and I thought it gave me a platform to really make an epic post-apocalyptic film, and something that allowed me to travel around the world and really make it a global outbreak for the first time. And that's what I wanted to capture, was just a sheer scale that we hadn't been able to do in the franchise before.